Tonight, a story of immense consequence for millions of Americans. It begins with a name we all know, Walmart. For decades, this retail giant has been a cornerstone of American life, a place for groceries, for school supplies, for first jobs. But now, that very foundation is being shaken. Walmart announced the closure of 200 stores across the United States. This is not a quiet retreat, it's a loud, clear signal of distress from one of the world's largest corporations. The company cited immense financial pressure, a direct result of new, sweeping trade tariffs. This is more than just a business story. It's about the cashier who's greeted customers for 20 years, the single mother working overnight shifts, and the small towns where Walmart is the largest employer. The closure of these stores represents a tear in the fabric of American life, a disruption that will be felt from the family dinner table to the national economy. As we stand here tonight, we are witnessing a pivotal moment. The promise of global trade, which fueled decades of growth and low prices, is now being challenged by a bold policy of economic nationalism. The consequences are real, immediate, and affecting our neighbors. Tonight, we explore how we arrived at this critical juncture and what it means for the future of our country. To understand today's crisis, we must look back. Walmart's rise is a story of modern globalization, built on efficiency and low-cost goods sourced worldwide. For decades, this strategy aligned with a global trend toward free trade, giving Americans unprecedented access to affordable products. But American trade history is a pendulum, swinging between openness and protectionism. The infamous Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930 deepened the Great Depression, showing how protectionism can backfire. After World War II, the U.S. led efforts to reduce tariffs and foster international cooperation, allowing companies like Walmart to flourish. The thinking was simple. When goods cross borders freely, nations prosper and conflict is less likely. The recent shift to tariffs marks a dramatic break from that consensus. The Trump administration's 2025 tariffs aim to protect American jobs by making imports more expensive. But for Walmart, whose model depends on global suppliers, this creates an immediate and profound challenge. The cost of importing everything from televisions to t-shirts has skyrocketed. The result: store closures and a new era of economic uncertainty. The announcement was a cold corporate statement, but for tens of thousands it was a personal earthquake. Walmart confirmed 200 stores would close, resulting in 50,000 lost jobs. The closures hit hardest in rural areas and small towns where Walmart is often the largest employer. We spoke with Sarah Jenkins, a department manager in Ohio. "I've worked here 15 years. My job, my security, it's all gone. The nearest store is 70 miles away." Sarah's story is echoed by thousands of loyal, hardworking Americans suddenly adrift in a sea of economic policy they had no part in making. The impact extends beyond employees. David Chen, who owns a small restaurant in Pennsylvania, said, "Half my lunch business comes from Walmart employees and shoppers. When that store closes, this parking lot will be a ghost town." For every job lost at Walmart, other local businesses that depend on the foot traffic are now at risk. These are the real-world consequences of decisions made far away in Washington. On the ground, the conversation is about paying the mortgage, buying groceries, and figuring out what comes next. The human cost is measured in sleepless nights and difficult conversations around the kitchen table. For 50,000 employees and their families, the tariffs are not an abstract concept. They are a direct blow to their livelihood. The American dream for many has been suddenly and painfully disrupted. The ripple effect is just beginning. Communities are bracing for what comes next. The story is far from over. When a Walmart leaves a small town, it takes more than just jobs and affordable groceries. It removes a pillar of the community's social and economic life. For many rural areas, Walmart is the modern-day town square, a place for neighbors, first jobs, and local events. The loss of the largest employer and taxpayer can cripple local budgets, threatening schools and public services. Local suppliers and service providers lose contracts, creating a domino effect of economic contraction. As jobs disappear, consumer spending plummets, pushing the entire local economy toward recession. Families may be forced to relocate, leaving behind friends and support networks. The empty building becomes a constant reminder of what's been lost. In many areas, Walmart was the only source of fresh, affordable food. Its closure creates food deserts, making access to healthy food more difficult and expensive. The closure is not just economic, it's a public health issue in the making. The impact of these closures and the tariffs that cause them extends far beyond the affected towns. When a powerhouse like Walmart is forced to close stores, it erodes business confidence nationwide. Other companies become more cautious, delaying expansion, hiring, and investment. The tariffs were meant to protect American jobs, but they've made imported goods more expensive for everyone. Americans are now paying more for everything from electronics to clothing. For families living paycheck to paycheck, even a small increase in costs can be devastating. Tariffs disrupt global supply chains, raising costs for American manufacturers and threatening jobs. The risk of stagflation, stagnant growth and rising prices looms large. The Federal Reserve faces tough choices as the economy slows and inflation rises. The Walmart closures are a symptom of a growing economic imbalance. To make sense of this crisis, we turn to leading economists. Dr. Evelyn Reed, a trade expert, says Walmart's closures are a predictable, tragic outcome of the current tariff policy. Walmart's model depends on low-cost international goods. Double-digit tariffs shatter that model. The company can't absorb all those costs, and raising prices would alienate its core customers. Closures are inevitable. Dr. Mark Toma warns this is just the beginning. If Walmart, with its bargaining power, is closing stores, imagine the pressure on smaller retailers. We could see a wave of bankruptcies if tariffs remain. The stated goal of tariffs is to bring manufacturing back to the U.S., but a trade war can make America a more expensive, less reliable place to do business. Disrupted supply chains hurt not just finished goods, but the raw materials American factories need. Instead of reshoring, companies may shift production to other countries, leaving the U.S. isolated. The path forward is risky. Walking back tariffs could be seen as political defeat, but maintaining them risks recession. The best-case scenario, swift de-escalation, and a return to negotiations. The worst case, an escalating cycle of retaliation, with other countries imposing tariffs on American goods. The stakes are high for everyone. The Walmart closures have raised the urgency for action. The entire retail sector is under stress. The next moves will shape the future of American business. The world is watching. The Walmart closures have ignited a political firestorm in Washington. The administration defends its tariff policy as a bold move to protect American workers. Supporters argue the U.S. has allowed other nations to take advantage of its open markets for too long. But opposition is growing louder. A bipartisan group of senators argues the tariffs are a self-inflicted wound, destroying American jobs and hurting businesses. The debate highlights a fundamental division: economic nationalism versus free trade. The stories of laid-off workers and struggling business owners are now powerful ammunition in the political fight. The Walmart closures have transformed the tariff debate into a tangible crisis for lawmakers and the nation. The tremors from Walmart's closures are being felt far beyond America's borders. The world now sees the U.S. as an unpredictable trade partner. Countries that export to the U.S. are bracing for economic downturns as orders drop. Factories overseas face layoffs, and some nations are retaliating with tariffs on American goods. New trade alliances are forming that exclude the U.S., risking American isolation from future growth. The global economy could fracture into competing blocs, making it harder for American companies to compete. Trade wars threaten cooperation on issues like climate change and global security. By turning trade into a weapon, the U.S. risks eroding decades of goodwill. The Walmart closures are a domestic issue with profound international consequences. Tonight, we've seen the faces and stories behind the headlines. The closure of 200 Walmart stores is a national event with deep consequences. It's a story about lost jobs, struggling families, and communities pushed to the brink. The empty storefronts are a powerful symbol of the disruption caused by reversing global trade. This moment forces us to ask, what is the true cost of protectionism and who pays the price? The burden is falling on American workers, consumers, and small business owners, the very people the policy was meant to help. The path forward is uncertain, caught between political convictions and economic realities. This is a critical moment for leadership and dialogue. The story of these 200 Walmart stores is a chapter in the larger American story. The next chapter has yet to be written.